My name's Colin Sullivan. I'm an independent consultant around edge and cloud computing, particularly with distributed computing, solving some of the harder problems that my clients encounter. And what I try to do is just make them happy and delighted with a smooth running system, something they can rely on and not lose sleep. My background has largely been engineering and architecture. Have had consulting stints in the past with through other companies where I consulted on Wall Street. I've consulted with aviation, a lot of fintech card processors, and then edge as well. But primarily, I worked my way up through engineering, through architecture, and then I ran product for a startup around edge computing and just decided to pull the trigger and become an independent consultant. I'd done a lot of research. I'd listened to many different podcasts, and Melissa's really stood out. And what I realized was that even with all this research, it felt like I was still just scraping the surface. And I didn't have a sense of what I didn't know. I was unsure about the sales process and how to best set up a sales process. I know I could have done, spaghetti on the wall, tried a whole bunch of things. So that was one area where I really needed some help with, needed some coaching with. Along with that was the mindset. So instead of telling myself, it was the mindset of being more collaborative, being more curious, and just focused on solving the problem for the potential client, for the prospect. So as I launched, I wanted to avoid a lot of the mistakes other people probably make when they're launching. And to shortcut that, I found Melissa and she really helped me out. I engaged Melissa right from the start. It was a decision I made. And in fact, we were working together before I even sent out my first invoice. It felt like a little bit of a risk, hiring a coach when I had zero income coming into the company. I was self-funding, but in the end, just well worth it. Even if only to fine tune. For some people, I imagine it's fine tuning. For me, it was well worth it to avoid having to spend all those hours coming up with sales processes, coming up with how do I follow up? How do I lead gen? All that was laid out, saved tons of time. And I was able to actually focus on the parts of the business that I love, which is helping my customers be successful. So now very busy with customers. One of the takeaways that I really got from Melissa was the kind of being more stringent about continuing with the aspects of the business that will then drive future business, keeping that pipeline full. Even though I'm busy, she has this process, it's 23 to 26 minutes a day, that if you're rigorous about it, you'll end up keeping that pipeline full. And it's not onerous. Without having some of the processes that Melissa suggested, I could definitely see falling behind and then running into that gap where all of a sudden I don't have any clients. All of a sudden, I'm way behind. I don't have any blog posts out there. I don't have anything. And then I'm scrambling. And that's one of the things that I really appreciated from working with her. Again, I had no income coming in. So it felt like a risk, but even only for the mindset and the confidence that she inspired along with these processes underneath, really, it really helped. I would say it's definitely worth the value. Bringing Melissa in early to help out and to coach really helped me along the process with, she reviewed contracts. She reviewed proposals and it was almost like a real-time coach as I was doing my work, as I was launching my business. And that was just invaluable. And again, I could have made a bunch of mistakes. I could have lost clients without her help. So bringing her in early was, I think, an awesome decision. Fairly risky financially on my part, but it paid off. Melissa was a pleasure to work with. She definitely let you know what you needed to change and what you needed to look at. And I definitely recommend her.